excited to have some fun this morning, learning about what I think is going to be the industry's new huge opportunity. So while it says Steve DeJohn under my name, I'm actually Mike Dressander, Steve's partner. And we, Advisors Ignite USA, are the ones that are hosting the call today. Just a little bit about Advisors Ignite and Steve and I. I have been in the industry for 39 years. I've been in the IMO space that entire time. Steve and I partnered up about 17 years ago. And we made the decision that if we wanted to be an IMO that could be beneficial to you, our partners in the field, that we had to do things to help you get in front of consumers. Every IMO's got product, every IMO's got marketers, but if we are not helping you effectively get in front of your next consumer and close your next sale, then we probably aren't earning our keep. So that's really what we do. And we're going to talk about one of these marketing opportunities today. We have a bunch of them. I'm not going to get into them, but if you're not familiar with Advisors Ignite, please reach out to us and let's have a conversation. It's a family business. We're not corporately owned. We're not part of this merger and acquisition craze. We were at one point, but we're back to being the flexible, caring, independent guys. So today, we're going to talk about a system that I'm extremely excited about. And I'll give you a little bit of history. Back probably 20, 25 years ago, there was a marketing opportunity where agents like yourselves were talking to consumers about trusts and doing estate planning. And through the years, it came under more and more scrutiny, but I have never seen a more effective way than those days to put you in front of a consumer on a favorable basis and to get them to tell you their life story. You're doing them a service, and when it comes time to then retitle their assets, which they need your help with, then then you swing in and talk about perhaps repositioning some of their portfolio, maybe adding life insurance and different things like that. But again, regulation kind of killed that side of the business because they felt that insurance guys and financial guys were too close to legal advice. Well, we've rekindled this whole thing, and I think we've got an opportunity here to really get in front of consumers, do them a great service, and rock and roll like the old days correctly within regulatory guidelines and so forth. So we've got two gentlemen that are going to help me present today. We've got Terrence McMahon, who's going to talk about an appointment system and a coaching system, and then we've got Chris Hall, who's going to talk about an online estate planning document prep service. And throughout the presentation, we're going to go back and forth with, nuances of how you can do this without running afoul of any of the different regulators that might be looking over our shoulder. We're not trying to do anything surreptitiously. There's a very correct way to do this, and you'll be good to go. So, and my partner, Steve DeJohn, may jump on at some point. It probably will say Mike Dressander under his name, but he may jump on as well. So, Terry, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, thanks. Great to be here.
Good, good. So I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about your guaranteed appointments and your coaching platform, and I may jump in as you go through it.
Great, great. Thanks. Thank you for the kind introduction. To give you a little context, I'll just walk you through a little bit of my life and why I got here. I'll only take a few minutes because I don't have a lot of time, but in '91, I started knocking on doors when I got out of college. And that grew to mailing lists and webinar or seminars, and I bought a mailing machine. I ended up generating a lot of leads. I never finished college, but I had a lot of leads, so I had a lot of agents. So New England Life made me a general agent because I was good at generating leads. And then ultimately ended up at Mass Mutual, where in 2016 I ended up getting sick, liver failure. I was terminally ill in a hospital bed about 3 hours north of here, waiting for a last minute donor. And the miracle came. It was a prisoner who died unexpectedly, saved my life, literally out of nowhere. I retired and reinvented myself as an author, and I wrote this book. I wrote this book called Superhero Self. So I made a transformation, and the reason I tell you this is I left an industry that I felt was pretty toxic, that got me sick. It was a very unhealthy lifestyle. And I just wanted to get away from it and do something else and travel the world and kind of talk about transformation. I ended up losing 140 pounds. I used to be 350 pounds, morbidly obese, and real successful, really unhealthy. And I entered the very disruptive world of publishing. And this book, I did everything right. I spent the right amount of money. I ended up becoming Amazon bestseller in 3 categories. And I really enjoyed talking to people about how to reinvent themselves. But the problem was I wasn't a household name, and that's a very crowded space. But I did learn that if you want to do it, you got to do it online. You gotta learn how to get followers. You got to learn how to get clicks. You got to learn how to do videos. You got to learn how to do a lot of things. And I did, and I hired the right people. And fast forward a few years now, it's been 4 years. I have over 1 million followers on 4 social networks. I'm not saying that to impress you, but impress upon you that there was 0 in 2017. And I learned how to take a stranger and get them to click on something and like something and then follow something and then comment and then click on a link to do something. That was an algorithm. That algorithm grew into an offer that I decided to bring back to financial services, where all my buddies were still struggling with the same problem that everybody struggles with, which is getting appointments. And I wrote this book. So I decided to refocus my audience from everyone to advisors, because I spent 25 years learning how to generate leads. And now I learned how to do it online. I went from offline to online. And that was quite a journey. And I wrote this book called The Anywhere Advisor, which you can read in a year or in an hour. I'm going to leave a link for a free download while Chris is talking. But the Anywhere Advisor is how to work from anywhere, how to have location independence, how to generate leads online, how to get in on the bonanza, because I found that a lot of advisors have a hard time doing that. So I started a big coaching group, a little coaching group that grew into a pretty big coaching group. And over the past 2 years, we grew that to about 300 advisors, and we teach them how to, develop I call it the purple cheeseburger, which is my marketing model. First of all, it's purple, right? So, which is different. So if you see a purple cheeseburger around 100 other cheeseburgers, you're like, wow, that's a purple cheeseburger. So you got to be a little different. The top of the middle of the cheeseburger is the meat, which is the audience. So for me, it's financial advisors. The cheese is their problem, and their problem financial advisors have is leads and appointments. The offer is a way to get guaranteed appointments directly calendared to your schedule without ever meeting them. And the bottom of the cheeseburger is the authority. So my offer, helping advisors get leads online, and the bottom of the cheeseburger is the authority, is a very powerful offer. So I'm going to show you a few slides about, what I learned in the last couple years. One thing I learned is that advisors are overwhelmed with everything that's coming at them, all the things that are being asked of them to do, whether independent or in a company. And they want to bring their services online. They just don't know how. They're confused. They don't know who to trust, where to start. They are frustrated that in some cases, their current vendors, other vendors and companies are doing nothing to help them solve this massive problem of how to do it or who to do it with. And they're intimidated by technology.
Hey,
for about a
Terry,
year. Yeah,
real quick, are we supposed to be seeing your screen right now?
no,
Okay, just wanted to check.
no worries, no
Okay.
worries. I'm just kind of setting the screen because what another book that I read that was pretty powerful is a book by Dan Sullivan called Who Not How. And Who Not How is a cure for procrastination. So if you've always wanted to get online and you wanted to get in on getting clients directly on your calendar and run ads and run your offer and take your business from a local mom and pop shop to, you know, being bigger player, instead of knocking on one door a day, you can knock on 20,000. The answer to it is in this book, because Sullivan wrote this book about, you know, it's not the how, it's the who. So if you know who knows how to do something you want to do, you don't have a problem anymore. And for me, you know, I was like, wow, like I can become the who for a lot of people that want to do this because I learned how to do it. And so our coaching group last year was 300 advisors strong. And I think about 15% in this coaching group, and we told them A to Z and exactly how to do it. About 15% did it and their lives changed. It was a done with you program. We have 2 live calls a week, massive library, all kinds of templates, everything you'd ever want. But what happened to the other 85? The other 85 didn't know how. They lacked the time or the expertise. So we started this done for you product. And the evolution of this done for you product came from exactly what Mike was talking about, which is the old estate planning seminar, which I call the old way. If you guys remember, the old way of doing an estate plan is you would sponsor a mailer to an audience or a neighborhood, and you didn't no idea who they were. You'd invite them into your offer was a free dinner to learn about protecting your assets. You'd spend $10,000 or so. You'd pitch a consultation with a lawyer, and as an afterthought, if you're lucky, you got in on the deal. That was the old model. I probably spent personally over $1 million on this exact seminar model, made a lot of money, you know, doing these workshops. And one day I met Chris through another friend, and he told me about his program. So I said, wow, what if I could eliminate the mailing company and the dinner? And what if I could run a paid ad to an audience, right? Which I know how to do. So the new way is this program where we help you run ads with a unique offer, right? Remember the offer, the top of the bun of the cheeseburger. What's the offer? Well, first of all, the audience is someone who doesn't have a will or a trust. The ad starts off with, if you have a family and you own a house and you don't have a will or you don't have a trust, that could have some very negative consequences in your financial life. How would you like to get a real will with a real lawyer in less than a couple hours of your life without leaving your home for under $1,000, which is a 50 to 70% savings on the market? So that's the offer. And I tested that offer. And then I put it into a video, and I asked Facebook, and I asked YouTube, and I asked Google Ad Clicks, and I asked LinkedIn, show them this offer, and then we'll do a targeted audience. It's the top 10% of all income earners on Facebook. That's who gets this, not some stranger in a neighborhood I don't know about. And they watch, if they see it, it shows up in their feed, they watch a 5-minute video that tells you exactly what I just told you, why you need a will, why you probably don't have one, and what happens when you don't. They opt into a free strategy call with a estate planning mentor, a certified person, which will be you. We can teach you to do this so that you can guide a client through the process of going from no will, no trust to full will, full trust, full powers of attorney in less than a few hours of their time without leaving the house for 70% off. And ultimately, you are in control instead of the lawyer, right? Because I had a lot of times when we would do these seminars and the lawyer, for whatever reason, didn't give us the lead. Sometimes we got a lot, sometimes we didn't get a lot. We had no control over it. Here, you control the process. So we built this done for you process, and I did a live show for Mike in Chicago a few months ago, and we're having very good success. So we have about 40 people right now that are running this exact offer online, and we've structured a process where you can get involved and run, have us run traffic for you, and we will set you up and get appointments coming in like clockwork, so that you have free time, so that you can ultimately end up with a better lifestyle. Because I think this business isn't about appointments. Everyone says I'm not in the appointment business. I'm in the lifestyle business. So if you can get leads online automatically, like, let's pretend you can, because you can. I'm 100% sure of it, because that's why we guarantee it. You can get leads online. You get all your time back. You go from unknown client acquisition costs to completely known client acquisition costs. This is a guy that started with us literally 10 days ago, and he sent me this text message. I have it in my phone. Nothing like waking up to 6 brand new appointments for the week. That was Monday morning of this week. This is Tim in Chicago. Just did it. And the results are potentially life-changing, because you can acquire a client at a known rate, at a known cost. And that's what the program's about. And I want to just give you enough of my time, because I only had like 15 minutes, but that is the program. We guarantee the lead. I'll give you a couple more details. That we build the funnel out for you. So we build you a custom funnel with your name and brand on it. We make an offer under your Facebook page, your Facebook ads account. We create one and send offers on your name. They're your leads, right? They are not leads like Smart Asset, where we're selling them to 10 agents. These are your leads, and they'll never be marketed again. They're automatically followed up on, but we guarantee, for example, if you bought 20 guaranteed appointments, we guarantee them. Now, these are not people waiting with a check. These are people that don't have a will and are in the top 10% of advisors and are unlikely to have a financial advisor. That's the search criteria. About 7 in 10 appointments show up right now. And the other 3 in 10, which we guarantee, you need to follow up or have the system rebook. But we guarantee that they will calendar an appointment, 100% guarantee they'll calendar the appointment. We have a 70% show up rate and a follow-up process for those that don't show.
Hey, Terry, can you talk a little bit about your pricing, or do you want to do that at the end?
I think I could do that at the end, because I have a one pager I'll show everybody at the end, because it's kind of bundling in everything.
Yeah, sounds.
Maybe they need to hear what Chris says first.
Sounds good. All right, so let's turn it over to Chris. Chris put together one of the coolest tools I've seen in forever in this industry. It's a great way to help a consumer protect money to pass it to the next generation. But more importantly, with you recommending this to a consumer, it puts you into a trusted advisor role, and the additional advice that you give down the road carries more weight. So Chris, let's talk about your baby.
Sure, thanks, Mike. Like you, I was around in those trust day, the days when the trusts were driving a ton of business to financial advisors and insurance professionals. I saw it work as well, and I actually was one of them. I was a producer. I was life licensed initially. I did a ton of annuity premium, a little bit of life, and then ultimately started gathering AUM under, with my securities, with my 65. And I built a pretty successful practice, all of it using estate planning as the cornerstone of all my marketing. So I sold that practice in 2010, and then ended up moving on and founding Estate Plan Navigator. So what I'm going to talk to you today about, I geek out on a little bit. I love it. I get excited to talk about it because It's just something I really enjoy doing. So let me pull up some slides here. I know we're going to try and keep this to just 15, 20 minutes. Oh, I got to get my presentation up here first. Hang on just a sec. All right, are we seeing my screen here?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to zip along. We're going to have some fun. We're going to go pretty fast because I want to cover a lot, but I'm going to definitely slow down in the spots where I think it's super important and where you know, this process really works. We're going to focus today on, you know, what are those big challenges? Terry touched on them. What I call the elephant in the room. Mike addressed this early in the beginning of how do you get to that trusted advisor status, we call it. We'll talk about why estate planning works so well, and why my company, EP Navigator, is probably the best solution for this process. And we'll talk about how simple our process is. I talked about this in Chicago the other day. Really, the big challenges, and Terry touched on it a minute ago, is agents are always looking for leads. It's just always the case. And so Terry's going to solve that. So the next thing you need is you got to find a way to close on those leads. Let's get you maximum return on investment. You're going to pay for those leads. Let's have a system in place where you can really take advantage of that and make those pay off. So in order to do that, though, we've got to address what I call the elephant in the room. And that is, and I'm just having some fun with this. I know you're not all this guy, but really for your lead, when you first call them, you know, the reality is they're looking at you as that dreaded salesperson. We've all had that experience walking onto the car lot or whatever. So you've got a big hurdle to overcome. When you're being viewed in this light, you've got a lot of work to do to overcome this. How do you do that? How do you graduate it to the trusted advisor status? I call it trusted advisor status. I think Mike already had talked about that even in Chicago, but really when you get to trusted advisor status, what I mean by that is you occupy a space in that prospect's mind or that client's mind that says, hey, when conservation from the other company comes, when you're moving money, or when the other advisor gets in the way and is trying to save an account that they've botched because they never, you know, communicated with a client or whatever the case was, when the rubber meets the road and the heat's on, if you're in trusted advisor status, that prospect's not going away. Because your relationship with them is in the right place. The deal is not going to blow out. So how do you get there? You get there with estate planning and EP Navigator. And so here we're going to get into why it really works. Why does estate planning work so well? Terry touched on this a little bit a minute ago. People need it. If you do a Google search, 65–70% of the people out there in the marketplace need it. When they need it, they're going to respond to advertising, which we're seeing. We're having no problem for those who sign up for the program. We're booking appointments like the guy he brought up on screen. I think we had a guy this week, Terry can confirm this. I don't know if it's closed yet, but I believe he made $100,000 commission this past week. So people are responding to the advertising. This is probably one of the most important points of this process. It allows you to connect with this prospect. The idea here is to create a relationship with these folks, get to know them, get to that trusted advisor status. In my opinion, the main reason this whole process works is you're not going after their money. Everybody else is. They're getting inundated with invitations for free dinners all day long, or someone's calling them, you know, with a better way to get them a better return on their money, sell them something. You're not doing that. You're taking a more holistic approach. You're seeing a need and you're solving it for them. So consciously or unconsciously, what's really happening is you're showing this prospect that you care. And that's going to pay off. That's going to pay massive dividends in the end. So what does this mean for you? It's a prospect conversion machine. Your ability to convert these prospects, there's a learning curve in everything, but once you get this system down, you fine tune your pitch, and we work with you on that. We have scripts and so forth. But once you get that down, you're going to see an amazing number in your prospect conversions. As I mentioned a minute ago, this is a structured way to build a relationship. And we're a limited time today, but one of the things I want to talk, or I'm going to hit on a lot, is this process. You're talking about their kids, their grandkids, their family, their legacy. They're going to get into it about their son-in-law that they despise, or their daughter-in-law that they don't like. And you're going to be hearing things from people that they don't even tell their friends. If you do this right, you have an amazing structured way to build a relationship, which is going to accelerate this process for you. You're actually going to be able to move to trusted advisor status in the matter of a couple of not too long appointments with them. I saw this in the field all the time. And when I did this process with folks, I got invited to dinner. I got, hang out for a while. We're having a barbecue, whatever it is. You're going to get close to these people, and that means they're going to be a lifelong client. You're not going to make one sale from these clients. You're going to make many sales from these clients. Our current agents and advisors tell this tracks right on with what I did in the field back in the day, although it was less money because it's 20 years ago. But currently we're hearing $200K in premium for every estate plan, or if you're in the AUM model and you're gathering assets, somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 per plan. This is a fun one. I love this one for every one of you guys and gals that's going to do this. If you deliver these documents to the client, and that delivery appointment is really where the rubber meets the road. But when you deliver this to them, you do it in their home. They have to have witnesses. You call them up, you schedule your appointment, you say, hey, bring in your documents over. I need a couple of witnesses. Who are they going to get as witnesses? They're going to go grab their neighbor friend, bring them over, and for 15 or 20 minutes, that neighbor friend is going to be there witnessing and seeing this beautiful set of documents that you provided in a professional way. And they're going to look at you and say, hey, Chris, do you have a card? We really need to do this too. So if you work this system, you can get another lead basically free upon delivery of those documents. Even if you're not going to use this process for marketing, it's an amazing way to build and strengthen existing relationships or turn over new opportunities. Maybe you got a big successful book of business. Let them know that you have this offering as well, and you'll uncover some new opportunities, and you'll marry that client to you even a little bit more. So how does EP Navigator simplify? What's different? Mike's talked about, hey, we used to do this, but then we had some problems. How does EP Navigator make it different? Number one is the advisor quarterbacks the process. Terry touched on this a minute ago. You are in control because the way our platform works. You don't have to send that prospect over to the attorney and lose control of the process. You're going to control it. You're not at the mercy of some attorney's calendar. The attorney can't refer them to their buddy who's also a financial advisor or insurance agent. You're in control. Our software allows you a seamless way where you're just logging in and you're collaborating with that prospect and a qualified attorney in the state you're doing business in. Our documents, we've been in this business for 30 years. The software has been around for 5, but our documents, I put them up against a $3,000 to $4,000 set of documents in the big cities all day long. They're very high quality, and they all come directly from an attorney. So that's what's keeping you compliant. Our software has an attorney, it's attorney managed, and that means that every document coming off comes from a lawyer so that you don't have to worry about unauthorized practice of law issues. And this is where the previous version of this, the 20-year-ago version of this, was having a lot of problems. There was not a lawyer directly in the loop. So how are we different? A lot of times at this point, when people hear about my solution, they say, well, gee, how are you different than LegalZoom? We're very different. LegalZoom, if you listen to their ads or look at their any of those online solutions, down at the bottom in their footer, you're going to see a note that says, hey, we are not a law firm. We are a self-help service. That's not us. we're 180 degrees different. Our attorneys are practicing law via our software. In other words, we've built a software that allows the attorney to be more efficient with their time. The software can ask all the right questions, and the algorithms built into the software help the attorney in the decision making. Just like today, if you call the bank to get a mortgage because rates are great, they're going to run your credit, they're going to ask you a handful of questions, and if your answers stay within the lender's guidelines, you get an automatic loan approval, right? It happens all day, every day. We're doing a similar thing here where the attorney has created the questions and the logic, and so it allows the software to make them more efficient. Key component here is because we have a lawyer practicing in our software, the attorney is always the one making document recommendations because that's practicing law. You don't ever want to do that. The attorney creates documents. You don't want to go anywhere near that. So we have an attorney creating the documents. All documents come directly from that attorney's law office. Built into this process is the ability for the software to identify more complex situations. So if something comes along that's a little too complex for our software or the online solution, we have a system in place that automatically connects the client or prospect directly with that lawyer so that we can make sure we're always doing the right thing. That protects us, our business model. It protects you as the agent or advisor in the field, ultimately the client. We're getting the right thing for them. Once we're done, those executed documents are all stored securely on the cloud. You, the client, and us all have access to them. So you don't need to be an expert to do this. Some of you might be thinking, gosh, this sounds great, but I don't know a darn thing about estate planning. That's perfect. That's exactly who we want. Because the more you know about estate planning, the more dangerous you might be. You need to know some basics, but with our software, you're just supposed to follow the software, let the attorney do the work. The process is simple, step by step. You're guided throughout the process. I'm going to show you in a minute. It's very easy to do. You usually can, most all of our advisors do one training and they're off and running. As I mentioned a minute ago, more complex needs are always directed to the attorney, and we'll teach you everything you need to know. Part of our process is an onboarding. You'll learn how to use Terry's dashboard as well as ours. So not complicated. So let's take a quick look. I think I have a couple more minutes here, and I want to give you a feel for what this process is, what it is you're doing when you guide folks through. Don't be intimidated. This is what it looks like when you're in the software. It's not too scary, is it? It's pretty simple. This is how when you're walking through this with your client or prospect, we call it, you become a scribe for the lawyer. You're simply entering data. And these are the questions. This is how it happens. This is screenshots right out of our software. You're building the client's profile. You're answering very simple questions. As you move through, there's little guidance. When you hover over these question marks, you're able to get some guidance from the lawyer as you go through. So this is all you're doing. You're just working through an online questionnaire with that prospect. This is awesome. You see the picture of Ed here. Ed is the lawyer in this case who's responsible for these documents. So Ed's going to pop up about 5 times in the process of creating these documents. And here Ed's making the legal recommendation. After answering a handful of questions, Ed says, hey, these are the documents you need. And then you continue on and just putting in the data along with this prospect or client. And as I mentioned earlier, you're not just typing in James or Jamie Doe right here, the 2 kids. You're saying, oh, James, how old? Looks like James 32. What high school did he go to? Or, oh, I might have known him, or I know his cousin, or where does he live now? Whatever it is, you're having conversation here, getting to know these folks, taking advantage of the process to get to know them as you move through. Like I mentioned, Ed's going to be coming in from time to time. Clients love this because they see Ed or whoever the lawyer is, and they say, wow, that's super cool. I've got a lawyer who's responsible, but you're able to help me while I'm sitting in my living room. That's pretty awesome. And I'm getting a great price. So it not only makes them feel good that they have a lawyer responsible, it also clarifies the fact that you're just the quarterback in the role in this process, rather. So then we work our way through some more questions to customize it for the folks. Finally, at the end, Ed pops in and says, congratulations, we have everything we need to create your documents. And so that's when we put them all in a very nice binder with a letter from Ed right on the top, everything with instructions on how to execute. We teach you all that. It's very simple. And ultimately, I clicked ahead a little bit quickly there, but ultimately that gets you to the end of the process. We send those docs to you, and now you have the opportunity to go out and deliver them to the client and fulfill your promise, again, building a real bond with the folks. Pricing, this is our street pricing. It's $39 a month or $375 a year for advisors. We're waiving that if you sign up for the lead program with Terry. If you don't sign up for the lead program, that's our standard pricing. Couple closing thoughts, and then Mike, I'm happy to answer some questions. Like I mentioned, if estate planning is new to you, you're going to want to learn the basics here. And I've got some help. We train you, etc. A simple book that I can recommend that you all read. But really, what's at the core here is that you want to use this process. There's 3 events usually. There's the initial phone call that Terry gets on your calendar for you. That's your first opportunity to start getting to know the folks and building a little rapport. The second appointment is going to be creating the estate plan documents. That's working through the software I just gave you a little glimpse into. And then the third appointment is delivering those documents. And that's when you're really going to have an opportunity, if you've done it right, that at the end of that process, when you're talking about this revocable trust in most cases that you've created for folks, when you're talking about retitling those assets and so forth, it's going to be a very natural progression. The folks many times will ask you before you even get to it what they should be doing with some of their investments. But use this process, those 3 appointments, to build a solid relationship. As I mentioned earlier on, leave the money alone. This is why this works. You shouldn't talk about their investments other than on the surface until that 3rd appointment. The more you leave the money alone, the more likely you're going to ultimately win this account. So just leave it alone. That money will come. I shared with you those numbers. You can't argue with 200K in premium or $500,000 in AUM for every time you want to do these. We're starting to build some good stories from the advisors who are doing this. So that's it from me. Hopefully that's not too fast, but a little look into what we do. Mike, what I leave out, or what do you want to add to it?
Yeah, so there's been a couple questions that came up in the chat. The first one was, isn't this exactly what the regulators had a problem with? Isn't this bait and switch? So I'm going to take a shot at answering that, but I would appreciate your feedback as well, Chris.
Sure. Why don't you go first, and then I'll add to it.
Yeah. So number one, we're in a time when everything is full disclosure. So if I were sitting in front of the consumer, I would say, look, I do a few different things. I'm in the financial business. I help people with whatever it is you do, with risk-adjusted safe money, with predictable income, whatever it may be. But I also believe in the power of proper estate planning documents. So we're going to start talking about estate planning documents. And if down the road we get into a different conversation, so be it. So Chris, is that the way you might suggest somebody handles that?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was really spot on. I think that's where the advisors I've been speaking to that are on the lead program, in that very first call, you let them know, who you are, what you do, that you've discovered over your years in the business that one of the biggest gaps people have in their financial wellness is a lack of a good estate plan. And so that's all I'm focused on and helping you with today. And people seem to be fine with that. And you're right, disclose. People don't have a problem with it. When you're straightforward with them, they accept that.
Exactly.
And from the regulatory side, it is different because we have a lawyer in the loop. There's a lawyer attached to every set of documents. It's in our terms of service. So it's very different. When I started in the industry, I fortunately, but unfortunately, went to work at one of the trust mills that got shut down. I lasted 2 months, and then I saw that they were doing things that I didn't want to do, but I loved the idea of helping people with their estate plan. So, you know, if you're doing the right thing for people, you're going to be fine. And we have a lawyer, and I started to say that first company I went to, it was a blank set of documents. There was not a lawyer. It was a template that they were cranking out and just filling in the blanks. There was no lawyer responsible. So that's a huge key for what we do, is every doc comes from a lawyer.
Yes, sounds good. So second question was, what's the average cost of a trust?
There's no average. It's always the same. For our cost is the same. And then you as the agent or advisor have the opportunity to talk about marking it up for you and charging for your time in the process as a separate fee. Most of our agents and advisors do that to some extent. You'll want to talk to Steve and Mike about how to do it within your firm, but pricing is really straightforward. If it's a will-based package that the attorney, remember, the attorney's going to recommend what the folks need. If it's a will, it's $225 per person, and that includes the wills, the powers of attorney for financial and healthcare and everything else, along with some organizational documents, letter from the lawyer, and everything in a nice binder. So $225 for a will. Those are per person. If the lawyer recommends a revocable living trust package, those run $650, and it doesn't matter whether you're single or married, they're $650. And that includes the trust and the wills and the powers of attorney. Everything's there with the exception of any deeds that need to be created to transfer real estate into their trust, which we have a solution for as well. Those run $150 per piece of property.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
We had a question about, do we need a notary at the time of document execution?
Yes. Yep. And so most of our advisors, if they're not a notary themselves, and you can notarize the documents, as long as you're not named in the docs, you can notarize or witness them, not both. But I was a notary. It's easy to be a notary. If you're going to do a lot of this and use this as a marketing tool, I would suggest becoming a notary. It's easy. But yes, you'll need a notary, and you'll always need a couple of witnesses. But we like witnesses because they become clients.
Absolutely. All right, so I think we're going to talk about pricing, but I want to remind everybody that there's 3 parties to this webinar. So you've got Advisors Ignite. We've got all the products. One thing that I failed to mention is that we've got marketing reimbursement. So we're going to help you with the cost of the marketing in exchange for premium with us. Then you've got Terry and his firm that are booking the appointments and providing additional coaching, and Chris. Now, to further prove our worth, Terry's going to talk about pricing, and we have negotiated some crazy discounted pricing if you affiliate with our IMO. So Terry, what are we up to get some leads?
All right. This was something that I extended to honor. I did in the live presentation. I kind of got caught off guard. I really hadn't thought about, I mean, we had like 11 people sign up within a very short period of time or inquire. So, and I'll show you what our regular pricing is. And I spoke about a couple things in this, this book's going to be in the chat, a free download to the Anywhere Advisor, but don't look at that right yet. I'm going to show you about this, this program we market under what's called Estate Plans Made Easy. So done for you guaranteed appointments. So this is our normal pricing. So we do it in blocks of 10, 20, or 40. And normally there's a $3,000 one-time setup fee. And that's to integrate your calendar with the system.
We're not seeing anything yet.
Oh, you're not seeing a screen?
No.
We've still got Chris's stuff up on the screen.
Oh, let me stop my share. That's why.
Oh, okay.
I'm hogging the screen. There we go.
Oh, you took my screen. All right. Hey,
How are
we've come a
you?
long way out. We come a long way fast, didn't we?
Yeah.
A bunch of older folks are adjusting to these times, but the one-time setup fee is just building out the custom funnel. This is something built for you. We typically charge a one-time setup fee to have that mechanism built and integrated with your calendar, so it's fully automated. The follow-up emails are automated. The client opts into your calendar and they get followed up on from you with text messages and emails to show up. That's how we get good show rate, and everything's done. So we block them off in blocks of 10, 20, or 40, and we price it that way. So if you buy 10, it's $300 per appointment. So that would be $3,000 for a 10 pack. That's our normal pricing. And we have 20 that it's $250, and then we have a 40 pack, which is a good deal at $200 per appointment. That's $8,000. I had inquiries in that meeting about my academy. Like, some people want to learn learn a little bit of how to do some of this themselves. So our academy, for those that are in it or interested in it, is $5,000 one-time fee, lifetime or 1-year access. So the summer specials that I put together was for the 40 pack, right? So 40 appointments, we waived the setup fee. We included a full year tuition to the academy, which is 2 live sessions a week. One's a technical session. One's I do the coaching myself every single week. I got one today at 2 o'clock where I'll coach advisors on offers. I'll coach them on objective handling. There's a certain objectives you're going to get with this, and I can go into that more. What the objections you're going to get, like, oh, I already have a financial planner. Like, oh, can't be a very good financial planner if he'd let you walk around without a will, right? All these things of like, oh, it's expensive. I said, well, it's 3 trips to an expensive law firm worth. So these are typical objections you get. But the summer pricing is we waive the setup fee, so 0 setup fee. We give you a free year tuition to the academy. So it's $8,000 for 40 appointments. And on the spot in Chicago, someone asked, do we all have to have them at once? And I didn't have an answer for that. So I made one up, and I pissed my partners off. I said, I'll finance it over 4 months. So if you wanted 10 appointments a month for 4 months, it'd be $2K a month for 10 appointments a month. Or if you do 10 and you want the other 30 quicker, we can do that. We can literally get you as many appointments per month as you want. Like, this is a fully tested offer to a massive audience. Massive. 60, 70% of the people have no will right now in the world or in America.
I want to, Terry, just jump really quick and make sure people get these are appointments. This is not a lead. We're not handing you a name and a number. These are people. You said it 3 times. That's booked on your calendar. That's exciting. Like the guy said, you're getting up in the morning and you got an appointment on your calendar.
The biggest mystery people have is they don't know how much it costs them to acquire a client. The acquisition cost of a client is your office, the time you spend prospecting, whatever dollars you spent carrying your staff. This process makes the unknown known. You know exactly how much it costs for you to get in front of a client. So it's $200 per appointment. So out of 10, it's $2,000. So if you close 1 in 10, which I think a monkey could do, and whatever your average first year sale is for the first year, you should be revenue neutral on 1 deal on first year revenue. Forget about lifetime value and referrals, which for most advisors is high, not low. And so if you look at that, if you get your closing ratio up to 2 or 3 out of 10, which is super possible, that's great. If you have laws of large numbers, you get big deals. You could have 15 okay appointments and then pop one big one. Bill in Minnesota just got one for $100,000, over $100,000. And that's fee-based planning. This is a big piece of, it wasn't like an annuity, it was a fee plan. There was some annuity in it, but a lot of it was a fee-based plan. He also charges, as a financial planner, and some people do, a planning fee. It's the perfect opportunity to say, hey, we're going to collect your information, which takes a lot of time. And normally we could deeply discount that into a financial plan for you, or an estate plan or a retirement plan. So maybe you could bundle your packages, separating the legal from the financial time, and give them a good deal. Create a an asset map or a projection or a simulation for them and charge them a fee for your time. So now your acquisition costs could be zero. You could pay your acquisition costs with a couple of fees.
Yeah, Bill says he's neutral. He's paying for all his leads.
And I told one guy, I think it was from your group too, Steve, I said, don't go for the money, leave it be. And he called me back at his first appointment, he rolled over 185,000. I was like, dude, all right, it worked, but don't do it every time because you're gonna spook them off. And I'm not kidding you. Like,
yeah.
This is an appointment business. We're in the appointment business, right? People with more appointments do better than people that don't. And this is a way to predictably get a flow of clients, calendar to your calendar, and you get back all your time. It's a lifestyle play. It's an investment in your lifestyle and your health.
Excellent. Excellent. So the bill that these guys referenced, just to kind of put a seal on the whole, bait and switch aspect of this, the most careful insurance company out there is Allianz. Bill is a former executive with Allianz, and he knows the legalities of the trust mill and so forth cold, and that ought to give you a little feeling that maybe there's some legs to this. So, from here, if you want to reach out to Advisors Ignite, you can give us a call, and we'll walk you through any parts of this. That number is 630-716-2200. You can reach me directly at 630-716-2202. And guys, why don't you give your contact info, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Sure, go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, you can email me direct at my website is terrencemcmahon.com. My name spelling's under my picture there. So you can also email me at tmac@terrencemcmahon.com. And my direct mobile number is 603-512-2389. And if you want to have a conversation about it, just send me a message or give me a call, and we can chat about that pricing. This pricing is not offered anywhere else on earth. I know you may hear that a little bit. And it worked out. What I liked was the advisors that were meeting were all long-term thinking. Like, they wanted to build a clientele. They wanted to work, they wanted to learn how to do something or have someone do something for them that can really help them break through. And so I like this group, this particular group, and it's a little bit longer sales process, but the relationship is you'll be second to none.
All right, we had a gentleman request your direct cell phone number again, please.
Sure, 603, I'll put it in the chat too, 603-512-2389.
Thank you.
Okay, and you can reach me, simple, it's just chris@epnavigator.com, or our phone here is 727-220-5152. Happy to chat with any of you, give you a little more detail on the platform, whatever it is you've got in the way of questions, we'll get them answered.
Sounds great. Well, Terry and Chris, thank you very much for a thorough and enlightening presentation. To all of you who took the time out of your day, thank you. Advisors Ignite is here to serve. So if you want to give us a call, we will get you rocking and rolling. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.